Hello and welcome back to Man vs Film. This is a top 10 of movies that you can watch right now on Netflix UK for the month of September 2019. Let's just jump in to these fantastic movies. Number 10, American Made. Barry Seal was just an ordinary pilot who worked for the TWA before he was recruited by the CIA in 1978. His work in South America eventually caught the eye of the Medellin cartel. Associated with Pablo Escobar, who needed a man with his skill set, Barry became a drug trafficker, gun smuggler and money launderer, soon acquiring the title the Gringo that always delivers. Tom Cruise is fantastic as Barry in this movie that firmly has its tongue in its cheek. It's a true story, but it's one of the most ridiculous true stories you're ever likely to hear or see on film. Some of the moments in this are laugh out loud funny, but it does have this kind of threat all the way through it as well. As you kind of watch Barry bumble along, his kind of nice guy image constantly leads to him to being recruited into things that he doesn't really want to be part of, yet for some reason he just can't get out of it. Tom Cruise gives a fantastic performance. It's funny, it's endearing, it's really captivating and definitely worth checking out. Number 9, Brawl in Cell Block 99. Bradley Thomas is a hard-working man. After his wife's extramarital affair, they admit the spark isn't there anymore and decide to have a baby. After being fired from his job, he turns to his friend who hires him as a drug dealer. A trade goes bad and he ends up in prison. The only problem is that a gang has kidnapped his wife and they will want to do an experimental operation on the baby, unless Thomas kills one of the inmates in Cell Block 99. Bradley will not stop at anything until his wife is safe again. Craig Zahler has made 3 fantastic movies for me: Bone Tomahawk, Dragged Across Concrete and Brawl in Cell Block 99, where Vince Vaughn plays the biggest badass I think he's ever portrayed on film so far. This man who is a hulking behemoth of pure rage and muscle. Although he does have a little bit of a brain round about him. He wants to do the best for everybody around about him, and if that means that he is going to be damned for that, he's willing to do it. This is one of these kind of slow build movies that lets you into a character, his situation, how he managed to get stuck in this situation, and then the bloody end where he has to decimate people to get out of this situation, to free the ones that he loves. It's fantastic. The dialogue's great, the action's terrific, and the finale is perfect. Number 8, Office Uprising. Desmond is an underachiever working at Amotech, a major weapons manufacturing firm. However, Desmond soon discovers Zolt, a popular energy drink created by the military, has turned his bosses and co-workers into violent psychopaths. Now Desmond must finally rise to the challenge in order to survive a building full of psychotic co-workers armed with the newest weaponry. There's not really much new in Office Uprising. It's kind of like an amalgamation between the Belko Experiment and Mayhem, 2 movies that I quite enjoyed. It doesn't offer much new, but there is something to be said about that safe and comfortable movie environment which this has. It feels familiar. It has characters that are inoffensive and somewhat likeable, even if they are only one-dimensional. The action is kind of fun, the bloody moments are kind of fun, the whole movie itself is just kind of fun, but sometimes you just want that. Sometimes you want an easy watch that you know you can kind of zone out at. It's going to be entertaining. Once it's done, you're going to forget about it. It won't cause you any problems having spent time watching this. It's just going to be one of those movies that you watch and forget about, but have a fairly decent enough time watching. A couple have secluded themselves in a mansion which has been devotedly restored by the supportive wife. Within this safe environment, the once famous middle-aged poet husband is desirous of creating his Magnus opus. However, he seems unable to break out of the persistent creative rut that haunts him. Then, unexpectedly, a knock at the door, the sudden arrival of a cryptic late-night visitor, and the intrusive wife will stimulate the writer's stagnant imagination. That's a basic plot for Mother, but it's so much more all about it. It is an assault on the senses in the latter third of the movie. The slow build up to that gives you characters who you're never quite sure their place and what is affecting them and why it is affecting them so much. There is a whole subplot to the movie. There's a whole theology behind it. There is a whole ideal to the story which doesn't come flat out and tell you what it is. But it's an interesting take on this story. It's an interesting adaptation of a biblical story. And when it gets to the final third of the movie, this is where it really ramps things up into an uncomfortable piece of filmmaking that assaults every sense that you possibly have, and it's unforgettable. This isn't a movie for everybody, but if you find yourself drawn in by it, you're going to find yourself engaged and devastated by this story that's about to be played. Number 6, Doomsday. A lethal virus spreads through Scotland, infecting millions and killing hundreds of thousands. To contain the threat, acting authorities brutally quarantine the country as it succumbs to fear and chaos. The quarantine is successful. 3 decades later, the Reaper virus violently resurfaces in London. An elite group of specialists are urgently dispatched into Scotland to retrieve a cure by any means necessary. Shut off from the rest of the world, the unit must battle through a landscape that has become a walking nightmare. This feels like the kind of story, the kind of thing that Carpenter would have come out with in the 80s, you know, a little bit akin to Escape from New York, but definitely goes its own route. Of course, I'm Scottish, I love to see movies played here, and particularly this one has lots of familiar locations for me, but it's the sort of really genre story behind it that I just absolutely love. Neil Marshall is one of my favourite directors, did a lot of great movies, and he directs the hell out of this action Mad Max kind of riff post-apocalyptic world. I think it's entertaining, it's energetic, it's filled with action, it is a great story, well worth checking out. Number 5, Kingsman. Agent Galahad from the Kingsman Secret Service helps the troubled Gary Eggsy Unwin, who is the son of an agent that saved the life of Harry many years previously. Harry invites Eggsy to be a candidate for the vacancy of a new agent in the agency. He is trained by Agent Merlin and competes with the other candidates. Meanwhile, the Kingsmen investigate the industrialist Valentine, an insane genius of technology who is plotting a deadly plan with his assistant Gazelle to save the Earth from global warming. One of the best James Bond movies ever was Kingsman: The Secret Service. I absolutely love this movie. You have the over-the-top maniacal bad guy in the form of Samuel L. Jackson. You get Eggsy, this kind of young guy who's on the wrong side of the tracks that gets dragged into fighting for the good fight, and you get Colin Firth as his mentor. It has so many great tropes about it. It has great humour, action set pieces, just fun moments that it's no wonder that it started a franchise. I can't wait on part 3 coming next year, and I feel that The Kingsman: The Secret Service is one of the best movies this decade. Endlessly watchable and just fantastic entertainment. Number 4, Piercing. After kissing his wife and baby goodbye for a seemingly normal business trip, Reed checks himself into a hotel room to accomplish something he always dreamed of: the perfect murder. As his sinister plans unfold, he soon realises he might be in over his head when a mysteriously unhinged call girl named Jackie arrives. This is a small story, basically about 2 people, both damaged in various ways, both with homicidal tendencies, and it plays out like a game of cat and mouse. You know, both have ideals about what they want to do, and both of their plans go awry. Sometimes one has the upper hand, sometimes it's the other, but it's watching the flip-flopping of the maniacal machinations of these characters and how they try to play each other, how sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, and the violent tendencies they want to go to at the end of this. I had a hell of a lot of fun with Piercing. I think it's one of those really quick, punchy, entertaining movies that I feel just may never get the light of day that it really deserves, which is why I'm highlighting it now, hoping you're going to go and check it out. Number 3, Girls with Balls. A girls' volleyball team, the Falcons, end up stranded in the middle of nowhere after their minivan breaks down. Little do they know that they've landed in a degenerate hunter's territory, and the hunt is on. Thus begins a very long night where they must run for their lives and test their team spirit, but the girls are more resourceful than it appears. In the heart of the forest, the tables are about to turn between hunter and hunted. Girls with Balls is a silly horror thriller. You can tell that from the title itself. What you get is a bunch of characters, some interesting, some not, some you want to meet a grassly end, some you don't, and you just bait them at the hands of these cannibalistic backwards people who think this is a lot of fun to just hunt these people down. There is blood, there is disgusting scenes, there is moments where the headless corpse is just walking about and not realising that it's about to pass out dead soon enough. It is funny, it is entertaining, it had some fun moments, it's quick, breezy, easy and just entertaining to watch. Number 2, Blaine Sporting. Colin must make it through the final 3 days of his probation for a chance at a new beginning. He and his troublemaking childhood best friend Miles work as movers and are forced to watch their old neighbourhood become a trendy spot in the rapidly gentrifying Bay Area. When a life-altering event causes Colin to miss his mandatory curfew, the two men struggle to maintain their friendship as the changing social landscape exposes their differences. Blind Spotting was one of the most entertaining movies I saw last year. It ended quite high up in my end of year list because I was just blown away with the movie that I got. The pairing between Miles and Colin was just fantastic. These mismatched friends from childhood ultimately dragging each other down in life when possibly that friendship should maybe have ended and they should have parted a few years ago. And seeing how Colin suddenly comes to realise that all his past transgressions are things that he wants to move away from, where he gets drawn into his old habits with his lifestyle. He discovers that this is something he's going to break, and it may sound kind of heavy and drama-centric, but it's not. It has those beats throughout it, but it is laugh out loud funny. Some of the antics of Miles is just unbelievable, and I don't want to spoil it, but you need to see them to check it out. This is a quick movie as well, with just 90 minutes. It has a lot to say. It has a really kind of in-depth look at this character. I think it's marvellous. For me, it's unmissable. Number 1, Blade Runner 2049. In 2049, the powerful Tyrell Company, under the control of visionary scientist Neander Wallace, the bioengineered replicants Nexus 6 seem to have integrated seamlessly into society. Chosen to eradicate the outdated rebellious Nexus models, LAPD Officer K, a new generation of Blade Runners, stumbles upon a dangerous and well-hidden secret that could easily undermine an already frail stability in the world. As K puts the pieces together, he will soon realise that they're a key element that binds everything together in this mystery, and it's the retired Blade Runner, Rick Deckard. Denis Villeneuve created a real fantastic sequel to Blade Runner in almost every way imaginable. No one thought this was going to be as good as it turned out to be. Ryan Gosling is fantastic as the emotionless robot, as you would expect him to be. Harrison Ford actually turns up and puts in a great performance, but by far the standout here are the visionary elements of this movie. It is stunning to look at. The sprawling metropolis, the barren deserts, the way he uses colours. This is a movie that is all about easing you in to this world by just showing you stunning imagery, creating a story that isn't rushed, that is allowed time to develop and really paint the picture of this world and where things have gone. Blade Runner 2049 was a revelation. It should not have been as good as it is, and I think it is highly entertaining, one that you should definitely check out. So there we have it, 10 great films for you to check out this September on Netflix UK. I hope you find something there that you want to watch, or an old favourite that you want to revisit. If I've missed something off my list, if you have anything to say about any of these movies, let me know in the comment box below, and I'll see you next time on Man vs Film.